Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm very excited to be back for our first webinar for 2025. It's already end of March. We're almost into 2026 or going towards it, which is crazy, but I'm very excited to have a really phenomenal speaker, inventor, and I got the pleasure of seeing Dr. Densen present in person. And I think what stood out for me the most with Densen was the deepest curiosity, and someone who's essentially trying to uncover treasure in the dental field and dental science. And I guess, like many inventors, is trying to find that pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. And I think I was just inspired by that level of curiosity. Dr. Densen pursued a PhD in material science at the University of Utah. And then after receiving his degree, he was employed by the very infamous Dr. Gordon and Rella Christensen at the CR Foundation. There he kind of encapsulated and really deep dived into the dental field. This is now, almost 3, approaching perhaps close to 4 decades in this field. And Dr. Cao is the inventor of the first LED curing light, which was invented in 1999. He has patents in, over 38 patents in the dental field. He's involved in dental lasers, which we'll discuss, in cavity protection, and is someone who's really trying to innovate and create solutions for, as clinicians, what we see ongoing issues. So very excited to have him with us today. We'll have a bit of a presentation just to run through a few of the research he's done, understanding the science behind some of those, and then we'll deep dive into questions. So very excited, and thank you for joining us, Densen.
Okay, Alex, thank you your kind introduction, and it was really great pleasure, to meet with you at Melbourne last time, and really appreciate you getting me on your platform, and so talk a little bit of technology frontiers, and we exploring or developing and to serve the dentistry, and definitely we cannot cover all the critical issues in the dentistry. We do the best we can, try to focus on solve some critical issues we know, we understand, that we can contribute. And so let me go through a few technologies we are developing, and let me get on that. And so probably I'll do this screen here. Everybody can see the bit. Our goal is definitely we develop technology, make the dentistry easier, faster, and better. That's the motto from my mentor Gordon Christensen. Some of you may not know him. He definitely
Densen, you can press presentation. We'll play there. Sorry.
The dentist, and so in the U.S. So Alex already talked about my background. I don't have to repeat on that. We are located in Salt Lake City and Utah, and have a manufacturing facility in both U.S. and China. So we develop many products. First one definitely the LED curing light, and then we also developed the thickener for teeth whitening. That's what we are leading at the field. Everybody uses the PVP for teeth whitening right now. That's a critical component. And we also developed the first compact diode lasers that serve everything. In the global level, we are the largest diode laser manufacturers in the world, and we also developed the most advanced teeth whitening strip. This is a strip you can put it on and will mold it to your teeth like a customized tray, so you can do the teeth whitening anytime, anywhere. And we are leading in the teeth whitening category in the U.S. And then we also have developed the in-office teeth whitening strip. This one have a 20% hydrogen peroxide, only take a 1 minute chair time. You put it on, and you can send the patient to home. You do not need to any isolations or any lights. And then this is a small product we developed LED lights can retrofit all the dental chairs and convert the halogen to LEDs. And this significant one after we developed LED kiln light after almost 20 years, and we see the issues in the LED kiln light, so we developed world first handheld laser kiln light. This is avoided all the critical issues in the LEDs, mainly the light.
Denson, sorry for interrupting. I think we've got a bit of a glitch with the presentation. Could
Okay.
you exit presentation mode?
Yeah,
I have a feeling. Okay, we
right.
may
That's
have
good.
to. Yeah, we may have to.
Just
I feel like we're losing it in presentation mode, so let's just keep it on that for now.
All right. Okay. Then pandemic came, and 2022 we developed a very effective surface disinfectant in hand sanitizers, and can kill the virus in the blood less than 1 minute. That's the only product so far in the world can do that. Then we introduce the world first carie detection, risk detection system, and also how to preventing caries. There's a lot of science behind, and so we come up a lot of new technology. Last year, we introduced world first X-ray direct X-ray photon detections. Currently you use the CMOS, but the CMOS you have to use a layer crystal layer convert X-ray to the visible light for the CMOS to detect. That's what makes the CMOS have a lower resolution, also thick and bulky. So we have a new sensor, so you can eliminate that crystal layer. So the product have give you a high resolution image, and also thinner sensors, and also very reliable. And then we develop a truly canal disinfection system. As you know, if you do the endo, get any chance, and disinfections is the biggest challenge. You have to do a lot fighting, create a space for the chemicals to create a contact time and to disinfect the canal. And so, old saying is, if you want to, disinfect the canal, you have to put your head in the autoclave. And so that's what you use every day in your practice, and the autoclave to sterilize, everything. Basically, we bring the autoclaves into the canal, so we're able to disinfect the canal, completely. So make the endo process much easier, faster. We're still waiting for FDA to get a clearance on that. We hope to get it middle this year, then we'll release to the world. And then the digital headset is our next big product. And if you get a chance, I know probably each one of you use loop. The physical optical loop will only give you 3 to 5, 6 magnifications, but once everything go beyond 3, going to be heavy, and then inconvenient. You use a microscope, is bulky, and also occupied a lot of room and expensive. And both of them, they're not able to document. So we create this digital headset, so you can have magnification, illumination, documentation in one place. And this will be a very, very important product for the dentistry, and particularly in the digital time, and you can document. And then also you can broadcast if you want other people to see what you're doing at this moment, either treating the patient, or you do a webinar like Alex doing right now. If he can do some hands-on demos, you can connect to the Instagram or YouTube or any platform you like to connect. You can broadcast on that. So we're going to release this product this year. We show them at IDS right now. So I'm in Germany at this moment. And then next year, we're going to, or later this year, we're going to introduce world first reversible cement. That means you can bonding, debonding on command, particularly for auto bracket, temporary crowns. And so you don't have to worry about, use the burrs damaging the enamels and leave the residues of the adhesive on the enamel surface. And particularly for the temporary crowns, you can leave them there for, as long as your permanent crown to come. But at the same time, right now, the 3D printing is getting very, very popular. And a lot of companies offer so-called semi-permanent crowns, and they use a 3D printing. They can last 2-3 years. It's a perfect, application here. So you can use a temporary crown and semi-temporary crown. You can replace them, every 2-3 years. Okay. And then after that, we're going to introduce, the fluoride trim strip and the desensitizing strip, because our strip technology, you can put a strip into one location, they'll stay input without falling off, and can consistently deliver medications. So we developed good amount of technologies. Each one of them involve a lot of details. I think, probably the time constraint may not, allow me to present the detail on each technology. I just going to give a very brief, on the description of the technology, the key ones, and the first one is the handheld laser curing light. This one have a very fast and a complete curing. And as you know, if you do any restorations, and you worry about it, the most is the bottom layer, because the nature of the restorative materials or the composite. And if we did not cure them completely, and they're going to cause the post sensitivity. If you not cure them, properly, they're gonna, have a stress debonding on the bottom, and also have a shrinkage. So, and the LED right now being used by every single dental practice, including you already. And right now, the average curing time range could be from a few seconds to 20 or 40 seconds for the LEDs. The problem for the LED is it is divergent beam. The beam is not a parallel. Now, because of the physical form factors, nobody able to make a parallel beam using the LED as light source. So we developed this hand laser curing light. This the one have a completed parallel beam. Doesn't matter you cure them in 1 meters. In Australia, in the US we call feet. Australia, we should call it meters in the US here. If you do 1 meters, 3 meters, or even 5 meters, 10 meters away, the light intensity does not change. This will be significant for all the restorations, so you can cure the bottom layer. And we already have the studies by the top expert, all those people. All the LEDs, if you put 5 to 6 millimeter distance away from the emitting surface, their light intensity is going to decrease at least 30%. Majority of them decrease by 50%. But the laser curing light is a complete parallel beam. The light intensity it does not decrease with the distance. So we can cure the bottom very, very well. And the curing wise, and this light only have one button. Each button is 1 second. And so 1 second we can cure about 2 millimeters, and 2 seconds we can cure up to 5 millimeters. And anything beyond 5 millimeters, we can just use an additional second. So if you use this light, you're never going to need more than 3 seconds to cure any restorations. And so for ortho bracket and zirconia crowns, they all cure much, much better than the LED as well. So this really are brand new, frontier technologies, the world first one. And so we believe after another 2-3 years, people can adapt this technology, just like adapting the LEDs. And it took about almost 20 years for LED being completely, being adopted by the industry, to replace halogen.
Densen, just touching on the laser curing while we've got the image up, what has been, I guess, positive and the challenges or the adaptation challenges from the early adopters that have taken on? Obviously, the main advantage is just time.
Yeah.
You're saving so much time. Have there been little challenges that people have had to tweak in terms of its usability, in terms of the intensity of the light?
Yeah, absolutely. Because at least the high intensity, laser beam, and number one, people, afraid, this light is a laser and going to hurt people, all of things. Because laser have been used in the dentistry for long time, and as long as you wear proper protections, laser is very safe. That's definitely provide people fears, to use laser, commonly. Second one definitely is the heat, because there's a high intensity parallel laser beam, and if you touch tissue too long, it's going to cause heat. But we have so many studies never cause any issues, for the pulp. That's what you worry about the most, pulp
Is there a threshold, like how many continuous seconds without?
Yeah, that's what we use, 1, 2, 3. So,
Yeah.
and so do not expose tissues more than 3 seconds.
Unless you want to use it to replace your diode laser, like the Picasso, right?
Yeah, that's the soft tissue surgical laser. That's the one. You do soft tissue surgery, remove soft tissues. Those are 2 different lasers. But the curing wise, if you close the gingiva, you can use the aperture provided, limited the light to expose to the gingiva tissues. So,
Okay.
Other than that, when you you learn how to use the laser, and so far we have thousand users in the U.S. They just love it. They claimed they never want to go back to LED again. And my mentor always saying is, clinical success is the final success, right? Alex, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Any new technology, it will take 3 to 5 years, and for people running through all different sort of clinical, experiences, process-wise or procedure-wise, to have them, to convince everybody, the technology works well. Then you're going to see the massive, adoptions.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Next technology is also a critical one, and right now, caries, as everybody knows, is the number one, untreated or disease in humans. And then we just you are in the dentistry, and that's what the caries. Majority of the job is treating caries. Other than caries, a lot of other oral caries issues. So preventing caries have been always the challenge, not challenge. I mean the task by all the science and the researchers. And of course, our daily oral hygiene, like brushing, flossing, and then rinsing, all sort of help. But the caries still be epidemic. That's how build a dentistry. And the fluoride, was introduced in the early 1950s, and so the evidence, can help preventing caries by, enhancing the strength of the enamel. And right now, the fluoride is very controversial, and I'm not sure how it's being, considered in Australia, in the US, since our new president, new director of, human health on board, and the fluoride most likely in the water, can be banned. And so our state of Utah, just this week, actually, the state already issued a ban to put the fluoride in the drinking water. So, and this is already happening in the U.S. So, carie prevention's definitely, the challenge, for the human beings, and then how we can preventing caries and is, uptaking task. But we look at it in different angles. If you practice dentistry long enough, you know knowing many people's, and you always know a few people in your circle of friends. Doesn't matter if they brush their teeth or rinse their teeth or flossing their teeth, they never get a caries. Right? You can see, Alex, I'm not sure you see such a patient, probably you do. And people never ask why those people do not have caries. Right? So they
In
never.
my practice, it's because I put the fear of God in them when it comes to hygiene, especially in a specialist periodontal. No, but I'm joking. Of course, it's
Yeah. So
it's,
that's what we look at from that angle. So why there are few percentage people do not have caries, and how we can learn, about, the oral properties of those people, see if we can use that, to expand it to entire, industry. Then we did a lot of literature research, did a lot of homework, and actually in the 1950s, the U.S., government sponsored a massive study to, say, quite a few research group want to identify how to preventing caries. They invest a lot of money, multiple $1 million, and the papers are all published, in the early 50s, and they have two conclusions. One is critical factor is buffer capacity in the saliva. Another one is a fluoride. Fluoride can enhance the strength of enamel, can preventing caries. So at the end, the government decided, adopting fluoride. That's how fluoride being adopted, to as a part of a method to preventing caries, and the people to leave the buffer capacity alone. Now we did the further studies, research on ourselves. We figured out that there's two critical factors will determine if that person or any person could have a caries or not. One critical factor is your pH level. Of course, that's what everybody understands. The bacteria eat the sugar release acid etching enamel. That's how you result in, cavities. And then another critical factor is really the buffer capacity. And the people who does not have caries, like we talk about, those first few percentage people, they just have a very strong buffer capacity. It's purely genetic, and so those people, when they have an acid environment, the saliva, have a strong buffer capacity. They can neutralize the acid. Same time, they release, very strong or large amount of calcium iron. For those people do not have caries, if you have experience, you'll notice those people would have a lot of calculus. That is why, and those people do not have caries. So based on those ones, we thought we need a set of project. So number one, we can detect pH and the buffer capacity in the saliva. Second one is how we can adjust, the oral environment and use the truly, the science and make everybody's oral environment be carie free. So that's how we developed this technology, the oral system we call the cavity fighters. And the first one, we developed a testing strip. This strip can measure the buffer capacity and also pH level. pH is easy to measure, but the buffer capacity is very hard. Right now, if you in touch with other people product like GC, others, they can measure buffer capacity, but you have to chew in the wax, spit, and send to the lab. They can measure, the buffer capacity. But right now we have this strip. You can just simply lick it and put it in your tongue, lick it for a few seconds, then they'll change the color. The top one is indicating your pH level. The bottom one indicating your buffer capacity. Combination.
I think what's for
Yeah.
the audience, what's particularly special about this is we know there are other pH testing strips out there on the market. But what's unique is the buffering capacity that you've been able to create a strip that is able to assess for that.
Yeah, that's very, very important. The pH level alone, will not only give you half the story, and the fact. So
and from a scientific level, what was the particular challenge in creating this strip that to be able to test?
The strip is, because the saliva is a very complicated, compound. So we need, identify what is the element in the saliva contribute to the buffer capacity. So we need to have to create a chemical reagent and put in at a small pad so they can indicate, the level of salt, also calcium ions, in the saliva. So the top one is very simple. That's the pH paper, as you know already, and everywhere, your chemical lab, you use them since high school. The bottom one is a challenging part, how you can use a simple chemistry and react to reflect, the level of overall buffer capacity in the saliva. Okay. So, by knowing the buffer capacity, we did many studies, and then we combination the facts, all those things, calculation together, and we can define the people in three, levels. One is high risk, and then another one medium risk, another one is lower risk. Probably you also see those people. Doesn't matter how brush their teeth, flossing their teeth, they always gonna have caries, severe caries, all the time. And also because they have a much, much lower buffer capacity. So everything, they have very acidic environment, but nothing, can compensate like the environment. Those are another extreme end people, compare the people do not have caries. So, and with all those, and we can tell people, if you have risk, for carie. Of course, majority of people have a risk, as we know already. And the highest risk, based on our data or all the published papers, is the 30 minutes after you're eating any food. And the bacteria exist in our body since we were born. And when mom feeds you, the food, everything you eat at home, they automatically introduce all the oral bacteria into, your oral environment. They'll live there forever, as you, leaves. And they, humans, we all know one fact: if you're fighting with the bacteria, you have one result: you're gonna fail. And so far, humans, we can never conquer bacteria. Bacteria is part of our life. So, a lot of people try to different ways, and say we want to kill everything in the, oral saliva, and bacteria. That's definitely absolutely wrong direction. Going to affect your whole ecosystem. So then with this, we can know how we can, detect the risk. Then what to do next. Right now, you have the risk. What to do? You definitely can enhance oral hygiene. Brushing, flossing more frequently, and you know, uh, do more fluoride varnish, and then visit then you practice more often. So then we develop this mint, and this mint have two key ingredient, chemical ingredient. Number one is we have a compound can automatically adjust the pH to neutral level. Second one, we figure out that the compound released by the human gland. That's how build people buffer capacity, high buffer capacity, called a calcium absorbate. So we incorporate those two compound, other chemicals into this mint. So people can digest this mint, right after the eating, can automatically adjust their oral saliva conditions and avoid, erosion of the enamel. Same time, release the calcium ions and also remineralize the enamel surface. So this is the, first we have the uh, detection for the risk, and the second, we can migrate the risk. And definitely we need large scale clinical data, small clinical data showing very, very well. We're running a large scale clinical data, we can monitor for more than 1 year, 2 years, and have the placebo group, and with our, testing group. And if I hope we'll get them done by end of next year, 2026, if a clinical data support, our scientific, evidence. I think this is going to be the new direction, preventing caries. Okay. And another one is our teeth whitening strip, and you do teeth whitening strip, teeth whitening probably in your life every day. So, it's all used by hydrogen peroxide. It's a matter of how you deliver hydrogen peroxide. Right now, you can use gel in the tray and different teeth whitening strip. The problem is the peroxide, do all the work, and just a lot of methods is inconvenient. So we created this new strip technology, not only deliver, the hydrogen peroxide, many other medicaments, for the oral treatment. The oral treatment, there are a lot of good medicines, for different oral, diseases treatment. The problem is how you can have the medicament stay for the treatment area, because the saliva, the flow, everything. So all those effective chemicals or medicaments, they're not able to stay, in the treatment surface for long enough to take effect. So that's how we deliver this, strip technology, and it's almost like a bandage, and you put on the teeth or soft tissue surface, something else, stay and sealed, and can consistently deliver the medicine, whatever, how long you need it. So this would be a technology to deliver all the medicaments, for the oral treatment, including whitening, of course. That's the largest market. This, we talk a little bit. This is the X-ray sensor, and is direct X-ray photon detections. Is different from CMOS. That's what you use every day right now in your practice. And the key, differentiate factor is right now, the problem for CMOS, already. Number one, the image quality is unclear. Number two is the liability. So this one mainly solved all the major problem for the CMOS. Give you a very clear, high resolution image, at the same time, and is very much reliable because it have less, connections for the cable, and so you can stretch and bending and without, broken the cable. That's number one, failure for the, X-ray sensors. So this one going to be the future, and give you, high resolutions. We still conduct a lot of studies working with the different expertise how to read clear image, and a lot of dentists was have hard time. In the past they always see, kind of say fuzzy, unclear image with the CMOS sensors, and but suddenly, people have hard time to adapt. Just for example, for the audience here, I'm not sure if you ever experienced from analog TV to the 1080 or 4K TV, and suddenly the picture is so clear, you can see the mole on the face, whatever. You're not getting used to it, but when you have a 1080, you switch to 4K, you feel like a 1080 is nothing you want 4K. So similar thing, I think the trending in next few years, everybody can switch those direct, photon detection, X-ray sensors, and mainly give you very clear image. You can do much better diagnostics, and we hope incorporate, the high resolution image with the AI or other enhancement, technologies can give you much better diagnostics. Okay. This one, we don't need to talk about it quickly. Let's just surface it. This is another critical technology we can introduce. We're just waiting the FDA approval so we can introduce to the audience. And this is the one we can really sterilize the canal and make the canal procedures very simple and easy and reliable. And it's a combination of solution and with a dial laser. And the laser have been used for treatment canal in many different ways, particular solid state laser, but they all use as the energy to agitate the solutions, either sodium hypochlorite or cohexene or many other form chemicals, and make the chemicals have the efficient contact time with the different surface inside the canal. The canal is such a small space, as you know, and so those energy tools, including ultrasound, try to have the solution, to create more contact time, so they can kill the bacteria more efficient. But the problem is the overall method. If we talked about it earlier. If you want to sterilize everything in your dental practice, what do you use? You use autoclave. If you want to use cold sterilization like a cohexene and many others, you need 4 to 6 hours contact time. Even you use bleach, the bleach still need a longer contact time in order to achieve 3x 3.9 above disinfection. So laser alone, they will not do any disinfect completely because they generate a lot of heat. They have to use high power, and you're going to kill the tooth. So what we did is use a solution you see on the picture and combine with a low energy dial laser. The solution is have 3 key ingredients. One is the laser absorption solution. We have absorption agent can efficiently absorb the laser energy. Second one is a surfactant. You put a solution in the canal, the solution will go anywhere you have water. Third one is the solvent. So the mechanism is you put a solution into the canal and put a laser tip, because dial laser can give you a laser tip as small as 200 micron. So you can go to apical area, and then when the diode laser emit energies, and the solution can absorb the laser energy and heat it up to the point the solvent can flash or can explode. So they generate instant heat. That heat will carbonize everything around that tip area. We set the technology only 2 millimeter away, in the tip area. So we're able to use the heat to carbonize everything inside the canal. So with this technology, we completely simplified the canal treatment. So the first, you just open the canal, use a hand file, remove the major tissues in the canal. And then after that, you just use one file. Depending on the size of the canal, you can do 0.25, 25, 04, tapered, just to create access for the laser tip. And then you don't need to do any rinsing, whatever. All those debris, you can leave them inside. Then put a solution in. That solution sitting, for 1 minute for solution penetrating into different, area of the canal. Then you insert the laser tips. Then use our defined program, move the laser tip slowly out from apical, to the top opening area. Then each, move will generate the heat. The heat carbonize everything and then also clean up the canal. And then after that, you rinse them by sterilized water and seal whatever you like to seal. You got a percha, you can use a bioceramic sealers. And so, for single route, you can down the canal less than 10 minutes. For molar, you can absolutely do it less than 30 minutes and with complete, bacteria reduction. We have so many research results already published that we conduct more than 100 patient clinical study in Brazil already. And we hope we'll get the FDA clearance by middle or later this year, and we'll introduce this one to the market. And so this is going to be a critical technology. This is our digital headset. As you can see, we called it named Hubble, and you heard the Hubble micro telescope. So basically, you can see a lot of things you can never see before. This one give you 1 to 20x magnifications, and we have the light always go with the camera together. And the magnification was created by optical, magnification plus digital, almost like your cell phone. But this one can go to 20x, and we have an interface like your cell phone. You can navigate through the view, goggle, and you do not need to adjust any visions, and whatever vision you have, you don't need to worry about it, and there's no much work you need to do on your side. To put it on, turn it on, navigate it through. You can take a picture, video on command, and you can broadcast to anybody you like to. Can be wirelessly project to any smart TV in the room. And when you take the picture, video on command, you can store them in the local device. You can also store in the cloud, and so you can access those documents anytime, anywhere, as long as you subscribe our cloud service. Okay. Yeah, this another breakthrough technology we're going to introduce next year is reversible adhesive. We use a very similar, concept for the endo. So we put a laser absorption agent into our resin adhesives. And basically, the adhesives can absorb the laser energy, and the agent can generate the heat. The heat and can heat up the plasticizer inside the, the resin, and then gonna crack the cement. So that's how we're breaking the cement. Just adhesive. So adhesive is the light cured, adhesive. You can cure with any current light, including our Monet, and you use laser to break it. We also have a great results in ortho temporary crown already. Right now, we're working on the permanent zirconia crown and also implant abutment and the crowns. So this one we're going to introduce in the 2026. This is going to definitely going to first area is ortho. If you do ortho, bracket or clear liner attachment, and the band, any ortho appliance you want to bond it to an enamel surface, this one, be very, very helpful. Same thing for the temporary crowns, and so you don't need to worry about it falling off, and you can remove them on command, and then treat the surface, and then you can rebonding, either permanent crown or 3D print crown, at any given time. And the most important, this adhesive, particularly in the ortho area, we already have the data, result in zero damage on the enamel surface. And so we have a lot of research to do. And then, this is going to be another breakthrough technologies for the dentistry. Okay, Alex, I think I spent too much time to go through, each of the technologies, and hopefully, I think it's providing.
That's okay. I was going to say that's a great introduction.
Yeah,
absolutely. We had a question in terms of, we can bring up the Monet and go through that first. Does the curing time differentiate, or do you have manufacturer settings recommendation based on the translucency of the composite?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And right now, composite wise, they all trending go through less shade. The most popular one, the omnichrome, that's only one shade. And so then the major companies, number one, 3Ms, and Avoclar, Dentsply, Kerr, all those major companies, they all start to simplify their shade, and definitely darker shade can take a longer time, and sometimes could double, quadruple the time. But for the common shade, and being commonly used, 80-90%, that's what we test. That's how we, came up our curing method. Our website have a different guide for different composite, depending on, which composite you use. You can check out our website. We tell you what the curing time for different, brand composite.
Understood. And I guess what I want to understand is also, how do you decide, what technology to pursue? How has this evolved? How has your interest gone from, composites, reversible bonding, which I think is going to be a phenomenal, option, especially as you say, orthodontics. I'm sure it'll be a game changer, and I'm sure there's, attachments for aligners as well. I'm sure that'll be a huge thing as well. And then you have, obviously, on the microbial side, you've got your cavity and pH and buffering capacity testers, and then you've got, the lasers and the applications and the antimicrobial. How is your brain deciding, okay, which area am I pursuing, or is it fire in all angles? And
That's a very, very, interesting question. If I talk like to my wife can tell me, you got to stop right now. So actually, all those things we present here, and only a small fraction of the research project we conduct internally. And my problem, not only I have a team of, researchers, engineers, we work together. I'm an engineer, I'm a nerd, and I'm very fortunate, I able to do the business without any other people investment. I grow business organically. I don't have any investors. So, once we look at it, say, yes, it is critical issues, but how we can resolve it. A lot of time we don't have a clue at the beginning, right? So we just keep, grinding until we can see the hope. If we try a few years, cannot see the hope, we may give it up. But our interest is, we say, not limited, because this or that. We want to take a look at if our technology, if it can be, materialized, can truly help dentistry or not, and human society wise. That's how determine, we'll do it. Each project, I presented here, it's never happened in few years. So it's just more than a decade of research. And each one, like the endo treatment is, as this year is almost 15 years. We start 2010, just to figure out what dye to use for the absorption agent. We tried thousand dyes, and what is the optimum conditions you can make sure you would not heat up the the teeth and kill the tissues, and the optimization wise, as anything else, you just, we just have the determination, if a technology we know can help, within our capability. Our capability is really we understand the chemistry very well, material science very well, and small equipment electronics. That's why in our company offering, we never touch the CBCTs or dental chairs, all the things. We are not good at it, and we confine what we're good at it, and then so we can, do the basic research without any other people's fundings, and then develop the product, and through, thorough validations, so we can present to the market. So.
Oh, very excellent. There was a question there about training courses for lasers in Australia. I put a link there below to Biomedent, and who's a distributor of Dr. Densen and your products here in Australia. So there's a few links that I have posted to those interested. Perhaps, for me, maybe we can touch on the caries and the buffering capacity, and where do you see the utilization application of that? Do you see there's more that needs to be done in terms of the testing strips, and then that linking to certain ways to improve the buffering, as you have through your I forgot what it was one of the mints. I know I had the pleasure of trying them, the cavity fighters.
So I think our uphill battle is because oral care have been, in a way, for generations, few hundred years since, maybe 1,000 years since toothbrush being, created. People have been educated, using current routine every day. When you wake up, first thing what you're thinking, you brush your teeth. Actually, as a dentist, that's not the right timing, right? But that's how being educated. And ideal way is you brush your teeth after each meal, but it's nobody doing, cannot say nobody. Majority people, 99.9% people are doing it. I think, for the buffer capacity, the new way to preventing, caries, I think number one, have educated people, about a little bit about the science, but the majority of people, they don't want to hear the science. They want to say it works, right? And I think we had to build a huge clinical audience, and then had to be a lot marketing effort to educate the consumers through dentists. And that's going to be the key. I think right now, this project more than 10 years, I think we still don't have complete clinical data. So like I was saying, we're running huge studies. If the clinical data after 2-3 years came out, statistically, I can only say statistically, give you a good indications. I think at least going to be, depending on the marketing effort, going to be.
I mean, from there you can make cavity fighting lollies and drinks.
Every day actually preventing caries, relatively simple. a lot if people understand the sense. Number
Mhm.
one, if you cannot brush your teeth, then just rinse your teeth after each rinse your mouth after each meal. Seriously, you can just rinse by the water, remove all the debris, and let's decrease your acid level. That's for sure. Number two, take the high calcium iron compound. I mean the food. And actually, if you got a chance, eat a good amount of orange, or check other food vegetable have a calcium iron in the composition, and that help you strengthen your enamel, and those are the basics. That's based on our understanding. So definitely, brush teeth and flossing is always important. Not only help you the oral condition, give you the fresh, and also help you the gum as well. That's most important, brushing teeth. As if you don't brush your teeth for 2-3 days, you can have gum disease. So
Well, yeah, periodontal as a whole. If you can fix those two, you pretty much limit tooth loss to grinders.
Exactly. No, that's another holy grail actually we're working on, is how because human gonna live with periodontal disease.
Your stress is that the next holy grail.
People gonna live with periodontal disease unless you don't eat food. As long as you eat food, you're absolutely gonna have periodontal disease. And also, the most epidemic thing at this moment is the implant periodontitis. People love implant, but the implant material-wise, the wrong choice, for oral conditions, and the reason is, and the titanium works so well in the sealed environment for the hips, joints, whatever. They are sealed, but in the oral conditions, they are exposed. And when they exposed to being contaminated, the tissue just would not attach the implant anymore, and that's how the implant periodontitis, come from. So so actually we're working very actively to develop a new implant, so enable particular in the gingival area or the buccal or the abutment area, so you can have a complete tissue attachment. And because we all know very clear, the tissue did not attach, either the titanium we use right now, even the gold, and a lot of company, if you use Straumann or a lot of other people implant, they use the gold, collars, to help the tissue attachment. But once the tissue attachment is in there, just almost like your natural teeth, you can have less periodontal, disease. But once the tissue is detached from the implant, the floodgate is open, it's very hard to fix. That's why, as the survey results showing already, 60% people with the implant after 5 years, they would have an implant periodontitis. That's the published data. So,
yeah, there's definitely, mucositis and inflammation of the tissues, and which is where you're saying 50-60%, and then where bone loss is happening, even some studies there showing 15 to 30% after 5 to 10 years. And I mean, we could definitely go on, but I understand it's late here. It's 9:30 p.m. I'm not sure what time it is for you in Germany right now.
I'm here about 11:30. I think I'm just get the day started.
Day started. Wonderful. Well, I just want to thank you so much for your time. If anyone has any questions, we'll put some contact details and links in the email. And just wanted to say to everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and looking forward to the webinar series for this year. And thank you so much again, Dr. Densen.
Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you, everyone.